Well, welcome back to Off Mic on Lakeshore Public Radio. I'm Michael Puente. We all know about the issue of bullying in schools. It's a big deal, but it's a really big deal in how to teach children how to handle it, how to deal with it. It's not easy. So we have a local author, Chad Hunter, who's a native of East Chicago. He wrote a book called Zack and the Zombie, No Bullies, Please. And Chad joins us in studio right now to talk about his book. Chad, welcome here to Off Mic.
Mike, thanks for having me.
So I've known you for a long time, Chad. You've been a great writer. You've had other books.
I'm sorry for that.
No. You're a great guy. Tell me about this book about bullies. First of all, why did you want to write it?
Well, as a kid, I experienced bullying growing up, and any kid that's experiencing bullying or has experienced it, it's a horrible situation. And I know a lot of adults who've gone through being bullied as kids, and it was difficult then. I can imagine how bad it is now with cyberbullying,
right?
Which literally somebody could bully you 24 hours a day while they're asleep because things are going on social media. The genesis of the book was I read at a kid's school. It was just a generic Halloween book. And we were talking about like what kids wanted to be, and they all wanted to be like zombies for Halloween. And I was thinking back when I was a kid, like Thriller terrified me, and Night of the Living Dead. And I wanted to write a book because I wanted to get back to reading to schools, and I wanted it to be a book that had a message, but was done in such a way that you weren't like browbeating kids with a theme or with a moral. And so I took the idea of having a zombie that kids could enjoy and like, and then I took the idea of wanting to write a book that meant something, and just with my own experience, and I think at the same time there was just a ton of stories in the newspaper about children who were committing suicide, taking their own lives, or committing violence against other kids because they were being bullied. So the two kind of just merged together, and that's how the book was created.
Do you have a personal experience with bullying growing up?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was bullied probably from Mike's like my therapist this morning, all the way from I think like
I don't want to make you cry.
Yeah, I know. Somebody hold me. All the way from kindergarten all the way up into high school. I mean, I stuttered as a kid, which is horrible. If you ever anybody ever stuttered, I was either too big for some kids, too small for others, too dark for some, too light for others. We were moving at the time. My parents were divorcing, so it was a terrible, perfect storm, so to speak. And I tell people, and I tell this to kids when I give a presentation, even the people you think who aren't being bullied are being bullied. I know people who you would think are the most beautiful creature ever made, the most beautiful woman or most handsome man or most fit athlete, and they're still being bullied. So it happens to everybody. The only thing that's required is that somebody finds one thing about you to pick on at that moment, and other kids who, out of fear of being bullied, will then want to chime in, and then all of a sudden you're the underdog.
And you're right. When we got bullied growing up, it was either at the playground, at the ballpark, at school,
gym class, or when the teacher wasn't looking. Yeah,
and it ended. You went home, and you worried about it for the next day.
Right. But home was still it was safe for most. Yeah,
and now you're right. It continues on 24/7. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
There's a very terrifying stat that I tell all the kids and the teachers. 1 in every 3 children in the world are going to experience cyberbullying. And if you do the math, it's somewhere around like 600 to 700 million kids, because that's roughly how many kids in the world, we're not going to do the math here because I might be wrong, but 700 million. I know. Carry the one, right?
Journalists.
Yeah, that's right.
There are 3 types of journalists: those who could do math and those who can't.
Exactly. But that's 700 million kids that will either be victims of comments or photos or something online that will go on and on and on, forever, because once it's online, it's eternal, so to speak.
So tell me about Zack. Who is Zack and who is the zombie? And look, I know this is radio, so I try to paint a picture for you.
Right.
He's got a book in here. It's not too big, but it's a picture of almost like a skinny he doesn't look like zombie to me. He looks like almost like Frankenstein.
Yeah,
sitting behind him with a black shirt on, t-shirt with a heart in the middle that's kind of broken in the middle, and there's a kid standing in front of him with his arms crossed, and looks like he's wearing a t-shirt with Z on.
Yeah.
So tell me about Zack.
I got to say that first, the Zombies t-shirt originally was all black. And I have an 8-year-old son, and I said, "Hey, son, what do you think?" He goes, "Daddy, that's cool, but he needs something on his shirt." So my son came up with the design of the broken heart. You know, I got to give him credit because every time he hears me talk about it, he makes me describe it, or give him credit. But Zack Graves is an elementary school aged kid. He is one of the main heroes of the book, main characters, and he takes a stand against bullying in the book very early on. He's a good kid. He sees all kids as the same. He thinks every kid should be respected. And through the course of his actions about standing up to a kid who's a big bully in the school, he then meets the zombie. And the zombie is very he's not terrifying. He's, one eye's bigger than the other. He's got a little skeletal nose. But I wanted to have a character that wasn't terrifying the kids. And the zombie has a good heart. And he was supposed to be the leader of a zombie army, and that's kind of explained in the book. But he wants more, and he's a very sympathetic character. So the zombie meets Zack, and together they form a very quick friendship, an unlikely friendship. And they make a stand against bullying in the book. And towards the end of the book, you also get other lessons about what it's like when the bully actually turns out to be somebody who was once bullied. So that's basically Zack and the zombie.
When you go to schools and you do presentations, do you also hear from children about their experiences with bullying? Yeah,
and it's nothing but a blessing to have schools invite you in, because it's almost like schools they give you trust, like, hey, come in and talk to our schools. And then but I do ask students that if you have been bullied or you know about bullying, don't bring it up during the presentation, because I don't want anybody to get embarrassed. And there was one time I was reading to a kindergarten class, and I'm talking about the book, and with the kindergartners, the itty bitties, it's just a 20-minute read of the book. And right at the end of it, one little girl looks at me and goes, "Well, Mary's the bully." And then everybody's like, "Yeah, Mary's the bully." And Mary's sitting there like, "I didn't do anything." And I looked at the teacher like, anytime you want to jump in.
Do you think bullies know they're bullies?
I think some do.
Yeah.
I think some do. But they say most bullies are just miserable or angry kids who have to displace that anger onto somebody else or take it on somebody else. I think they know they're not happy. And I think that's a draw for bullies, because they see kids that are happy and enjoying themselves. And it's like, well, I don't like you enjoying something I'm not, and they want to lash out. But most of the times at schools now, because I do make that kind of little disclaimer or caveat in the beginning, kids don't share. But I beg the kids that if you do know of bullying or going through bullying, that you go tell a trusted adult. Go tell a teacher, go tell the principal, go tell a guidance counselor after the presentation, because I want them to, and that's the purpose of the book, is to create a fun environment where kids feel safe to go, wow, Zack did this, the zombie did that. Yeah, I'm kind of getting picked on at school, or I know somebody, just to kind of give them a safe space to talk about it.
You think it's kind of hard to tell that children who have been bullied have they run across children you're surprised that they were picked on? They could be, like you said, they could be maybe the biggest kid in the school, or the athlete that somebody you wouldn't think was getting bullied.
Yeah, there is always sometimes I'll ask the kids during the presentation, who do you think gets bullied? And it's always the same answers, like kids that wear glasses, kids that read a lot. And I tell them, like, everybody gets bullied. And I have friends that got bullied, and they were like the biggest jock, or the strongest guy, or the smartest girl, the most beautiful girl in school. And so it is a surprise, because we do have this stereotype in our head. It's the nerd. And actually, during one of the presentations, a little girl said, only people that wear glasses get bullied. And I said, well, geez, girl, I wear glasses. So I don't. Are you coming for me in the parking lot? But I do tell the kids, it could be everybody, because I want to break that stereotype that, it's only going to be the stereotypical nerd, but it could be anybody, and therefore listen to anybody who says they're going through it, because they're probably not making it up.
Jack, can you tell me a little bit about your background? I know you grew up in East Chicago, but
Harbor, get it exact. I'm a Harbor kid.
Harbor, okay, yeah. So the Harbor side.
We're both Harbor kids.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the Harbor. I went to Franklin, which then became Washington L. Block. I graduated Central in '93. I went to Purdue. Oddly enough, I have a degree in computers, but in high school, I did a lot of journalism, and I just realized that unlike Michael Puente, my path to journalism would have been far slower and less successful, but I never lost the desire to writing. And so I did stringer work for the Post-Trib, Hammond Times, Chicago Sun-Times, different magazines. And I've always liked to write books. I do self-publishing because, and Mike, you know, the traditional route of publishing is slow, and you succeed at the whim of however the agent or editor feels that morning. You may not make it to their reading stack. So just going through the course of working with Amazon and their self-publishing venues, I've created, this is actually book number 14. This is, I think, my 4th children's book. And this is the first Zack and the Zombie book, but not the last, because it's great. The kids are like, oh, when's the sequel? And I'm like,
when's the movie?
Yeah, I know, right? On Netflix or Disney Plus, whatever. But it's a blast. And it's the best part is just seeing the kids taking the information about bullying and that they repeat it back. And, you know, during the presentation, the kids all shout, "No bullies, please," at certain moments. And you can tell they understand the importance of empathy and kindness and treating each other well.
Well, again, not trying to make you cry or look deeper into your past, but growing up in the harbor, you know, it can be a very diverse place, but it could be somewhat a challenging place. When I grew up, you know, it's you had friends of all nationalities, but sometimes it's the Latino kid who's bothering you, and I'm Latino, or it could be were you picked on maybe by another African American, or was it ever culturally based, or was it just kids acting dumb?
Mike's trying to break me down, everybody. This is the deconstruction of Chad Hunter. It is sad to say, but it is. You know, I have friends, obviously, who are Latino or who are white. Growing up in the harbor, there weren't that many Caucasian students, and obviously friends that were black. But sometimes some of the worst bullying came from somebody from your ethnic group. And I can't count how many times I heard, well, you know, why you talk white, or why you want to study. And I would always come back with, well, you know, talking like you have an education is not just for Caucasian students, and our mom worked really hard. And, you know, when you're at home, you could drop G's and use a little bit more slang or ease of language, but our mom worked hard to make sure we got an education. And I have tons of Latino friends who would get grief because of their Spanish, or if they didn't speak Spanish, or, oh, you were born here, you're not really Mexican because you didn't come from Mexico. I came from Mexico, I'm more Mexican than you, I'm blacker than you. I mean, and all that junk, all that mess is just a clear sign of somebody's miserable inside and has to make you feel miserable too.
So where can you find the book?
Zack and the Zombie is on Amazon, and English and in Spanish, because there is a large bullying aspect in ESL homes. And it's got to be even more of a challenge because you have a language barrier or a language difficulty between parents and the school that's trying to tell the parents, you know, we know your kid is being bullied and so on. So the book is on Amazon in English and Spanish for $12.99. I do want to also mention that there is www.zackandthezombie.com. You can also go to hunterchad.com. And if anybody knows a school that wants to have me come out.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, see, well, Mike tells me what to say, everybody, before the show starts. If you go to zackandthezombie.com or if you go to hunterchad.com, there is a reach out to me tab or about the author tab. You can click on it, fill out a very quick form, hit send, it goes to me. And if it's within physical, you know, not a great distance, I will come to the school. But we just did a school in Michigan via Google Hangouts. So I was here in Indiana. We did it through a computer with the kids in Michigan. We didn't miss a beat. We didn't lose anything in the message. So if you're within the sound of my voice but not physically nearby, we can still work out doing the presentation.
Well, Chad Hunter is a local author and the author of a book called Zack and the Zombie, No Bullies, Please. Chad, thank you so much for joining us here on Off Mic on Lakeshore Public Radio.
Oh, Mike, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And coming up, we're going to hear about the Cubs' Chris Bryant. Is he going to be traded? No way. And your weekend sports update is coming up next. More on Off Mic.
The Friday Pitch-In catches us up on the biggest Indiana headlines of the week with Indiana Public Broadcasting digital producer Lauren Chapman. We'll also hear from Pete the Planner, who's offering free financial advice to displaced Celadon employees following their demise this week in the wake